Hello and welcome to The Slant. Maybe a little bit different show, break from the political talk, but you will know where this is going by the end. Maybe. Probably not. So it seems difficult to come up with topics, not because there's nothing to discuss, but there's too much to discuss. And where do you even start? It's also difficult to find time to do as many episodes a week as I had planned. My goal is to do a total of 100 episodes. I had planned to do 2 per week, so within a year I'd be done. But it seems that's shifted to about 1 per week. Why? Life happens. This past week, my beautiful wife came down with a nasty virus, so she spent the whole week coughing and hacking with chest congestion, nausea, headaches, trouble sleeping, all that really fun stuff that comes with being sick. She's on the mend now, thankfully. So the past week, I spent most of my free time making sure she was taken care of because that is what a husband does when his wife is sick. So as I said, life happens and plans change, and I missed pushing out an episode, but that's not a big deal because here we are. This is a new episode. In regard to life happening, a little backstory on what I like, or past tense, liked to do for fun. So since 2012, I've been involved in everything from 5K races to Spartan races, savage races, Tough Mudders, all that fun stuff. I love competing in obstacle course racing and was even fortunate enough to have competed in 3 World Obstacle Course Racing Championships. One was stateside, the other 2 were out of country. I didn't come away with any trophies, but I did make some memories and I met a lot of good people. And I will always look back at those times and smile. But when COVID happened, all the OCR races were shut down, and many have never fully recovered to the glory that they once were. Many of the smaller races ceased to exist or were bought out and merged with another larger race organization. COVID killed OCR. With no OCR races available, I was able to start finding some ultramarathons, trail runs that I could participate in. So, how long is an ultramarathon, you ask? Because I've mentioned ultramarathons in the past. An ultramarathon is any race distance that's over 26 miles. More commonly, ultras are referred to as 50Ks, which is 31 miles. In the ultra running world, however, some runners will tell you 27 miles. 27 miles is not an ultra. Some will say a 50K or a 100K race is not an ultra. Some diehards will say that an ultramarathon distance is at least 100 miles. See, ultra runners are this glorious group of people hell-bent on punishing their bodies. And believe me, it's addictive. The truth is, any distance over 26 miles is really an ultramarathon. That's the definition. So, I was running in 50K races mostly in and around the Indiana and Illinois area. I was training and putting in about 200 miles a month training. I did attempt one 100-mile race in 2021, but only made it 66 miles. Then I dropped from the race because I was in some hella pain. Knowing now what I did not know then, I would have stuck that race out and finished it. So my favorite race that I've done was the Barkley Fall Classic that takes place in Tennessee, and it's somewhere between 31 and 35 miles. And I say it's somewhere between that distance because no one knows. You can't take a GPS and track your miles as you run. It's not allowed in that race. You can't take running sticks to help because it's in a mountainous area. You don't get to take those. You can only wear your normal race gear and a watch, but the watch really is just like a little Timex watch. It just has like a timer and that's it. You can't track your distance. So the night before this race, you get a map of the course, which the course itself is not really marked. So you have to study the map. The trails, every once in a while, you'll see a flag on a trail, so maybe you know you need to turn right or left. But you really have to study that map the evening before. You don't get the map until the night before the race. So when you're done studying your map at night, you put it in your running backpack or your hydration pack, and you take it with you on the course in case you need it during the race. So the Barkley Fall Classic is a smaller version of the world-famous Barkley Marathons. Now, the Barkley Marathons, also known as the Big Barkley, and the Barkley Fall Classic races are set at Frozen Head State Park in Wartburg, Tennessee, in the Brushy Mountains. The origin of this race came from Gary Cantrell, more famously known in the running world as Lazarus Lake. In 1977, there was a prisoner who escaped from the Brushy Mountain Penitentiary. That inmate was James Earl Ray, the man who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. Ray escaped and lasted 54 hours in the brutal mountainous terrain until he was found lying on the ground, covered in mud and exhausted. So Lazarus and some of his friends, knowing the story of the escape and how long Earl Ray lasted out there, wondered how long a real runner could make it in those same conditions, and voila, the Barkley Marathon origin story in less than 2 minutes. And also, this race, the Barkley Marathons, it does not always have a winner. Sometimes nobody wins, nobody finishes. So the Barkley race itself wins. We did last year, there actually were multiple people who finished. But that's very uncommon. Usually, one person may finish the race. Everyone else drops out, gets hurt. They can't do it. It is a brutal race. So that was a really long lead into the fact that I no longer run. And what I meant by, if I knew then what I know now, I would have stuck out that 100-mile race and finished. In October of 2023, I had meniscus removed from my right knee, and since then I've not really been able to run very far before my knee starts getting very angry. I really have been pretty inactive since 2022 because that's when the knee pain really started. My weight since then has fluctuated. It's went up and down. I've tried to lift weights on and off since, but it just depends on if the tennis elbow can stay away. Oh, and then there's the arthritis. It's also a lot of fun in the knee. So does any of this sound familiar to some of you? I'm 47. So, if you're around my age, if you're older, maybe a little younger, does that sound familiar to situations that you've been in with age? Your body can basically just tell you to go pound sand, right? In our youth, we could bounce back after an injury and be right back at it in a short amount of time. Our biggest foe in life is time. None of us have an unlimited amount of time here, so we need to make the most of what we have. I have plans on running again, somehow, at some point, so I'm starting to do more very light conditioning for my knee to try to strengthen it. I will never be able to attempt a 100-mile race again. It's doubtful. My wife says I can't. She's probably right, but you never know. But right now I'd be happy with 5K, just doing 5K runs. That would be great if I could, do 3 or 4 or 5K practice runs around my neighborhood a week. That would be great. So that's kind of my goal right now, is to get back out and just start being able to run. And if I have to walk a little bit too, then that's fine. And I'll walk. So that being said, I will give you some random updates on occasion on this show of how that's going, whether I'm able to run at all, how the progression of the knee pain's going, or lack of progress that I'm making, and lack of nothing happening. I can also let you know that. So I want to keep the main point here is that if you have not been active for a while, right? Me, I hadn't been active really since 2022. Maybe it's time you get moving again. If you have never been active, then maybe this is the time that you take that first step. If you're not a runner, you don't have to run, don't run. If you can't do what you used to love to do, me, I love to run. But if we can't do what we love to do, then maybe we find something different. Maybe we start biking. Maybe we find something just completely different to do, right? Just to stay active. Maybe you've always wanted to start biking. Maybe you wanted to rock climb. Maybe you always wanted to golf. Or you just want to walk. Maybe you're someone who's like, man, I just wish I could go out and walk every day. Well, then go out and start small. Walk a quarter mile the first day. Build up. Get to where you're walking a mile a day. And then maybe you're going to get to where you're going to walk 3 to 4 miles a day. But just go do it. Start logging what you're doing. Find some friends to get involved and make it fun. Our overall health is important. Trying to eat healthier is important. Little steps can make a big difference. Remember, every race is ran one step at a time. So, that's it for the main part of this podcast. But I want you to know I did it. I did not mention anything about stupid liberals living in their parents' basement sobbing because Donald Trump won the election. I did not mention anywhere in this podcast about Joe Biden pardoning his criminal son to really just protect his own ass. And basically, this is a complete admission of his guilt on his part as far as I'm concerned. So, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know. This is episode 12 of 100. I am also on YouTube, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, and about anywhere else. Just look for The Slant with Ryan Ritchie. Thanks, everyone.